One of the more energetic Christians I've stumbled across is a guy called Josh Feuerstein. He claims to be able to prove that God exists. Given the nature of this video series, I thought I'd take a closer look at what he's claiming.
Josh Feuerstein here. You know, a lot of people have asked me, how is it that you can believe in a God that you've never seen?
Good question. I've often wondered that myself.
Well, the reality is we believe in things that we've never seen all the time. I can walk through a gallery of art, and even though I didn't see the painter paint the painting, even though I may not be there to shake his hand, the reality is he exists, and I have proof because I look at his art. I look at his paintings.
Yes, but the thing about paintings is that they require a person to make them. We know that people exist, and most of us have seen a painting being painted by an artist at one time or another.
The same way that a hunter can be tracking a deer or a bear, and even though he's never seen it and laid eyes on it, he's seen its footprints, he's seen its droppings, its evidence that it's been there.
Okay, so like paintings and the artists who create them, we know that deer shit comes from deer. I wonder where he's going with this.
When I look around at other human beings and I look at creation, it's proof to me that there is a creator, the same way that art is proof that there is an artist.
Notice that he says it's proof to him. I have a question, Josh. Have you ever seen a supernatural being create a human? Come to think of it, have you seen anything supernatural at all?
You know, it is that we believe in things that we don't see every single day. Whether it's heat, well, we feel heat, but we can't see it. Whether it's gravity, well, we feel the effects of it, but we've never been able to see gravity. The reality is that we believe in it. Why? Because we've experienced it and we've felt it.
Saying that you believe in something is a typically religious way of putting it. I believe that gravity is real and that it holds us and the atmosphere we depend on for survival to this planet. But I wouldn't say I believe in gravity. What does that even mean? How does the God of the Bible relate to heat and gravity? We can use bathroom scales and a thermometer to detect these things. What scientific equipment can we use to detect God?
The same way that millions and millions, if not billions of people around this world have felt and experienced God.
Okay, so people feel and experience something. How could we tell if what they're experiencing is a God rather than something else? How could we design an experiment to test whether these believers really are accessing an external, supernatural, anthropomorphic being rather than a part of their subconscious mind? Given the fact that believers frequently disagree with each other about what God's properties are, is it not more likely that the God each one of them believes in is a reflection of how they would like themselves to be in an ideal world? I've noticed that those who are bigoted tend to have a bigoted God, and those who are tolerant tend to have a more tolerant God. Anyone else notice how similar people's gods are to them? It's a bit like people and their dogs.
That's why they can say that they can believe in him, and it doesn't make us better than an atheist who doesn't believe in a God, but yet the atheist cannot even claim to possess the totality of truth. And so how can they say that he doesn't exist? For there is no proof that he doesn't, and yet my experience is proof enough to me that he does.
The totality of truth is another religious concept which doesn't seem to map onto reality very well. It's a bit like absolute truth or absolute morality. Way back in biblical times, no one knew what germs, viruses and galaxies were. The Bible sheds no light on these things, which makes it seem more likely that humans wrote it than a being capable of creating this universe. Today, we know a lot more than the writers of the Bible knew, yet this increase in understanding makes us more aware of how little we do know. It doesn't make us better or worse. I'm not sure why he's so keen to argue this point. Knowledge is neutral, much like technology. Whether we choose to use it to harm or help others is another matter. Most atheists don't claim that God doesn't exist. This is a common misconception of believers. They don't understand what the burden of proof is. If someone is making a positive claim, then it is up to that person to provide evidence for it. If I say, there are no gods, like Bunto does, then it's up to me to substantiate that claim. But that's not my position. I don't believe gods are real, but if Josh Feuerstein is able to present me with something which is more convincing than what he has so far, then I might reconsider.
That doesn't make me better than an atheist. It simply means that I've had an experience that he hasn't had. The same way that maybe I could have went to Disneyland and experienced Disneyland while maybe they haven't. It doesn't make somebody better. It just means that they've had an experience and shared something that somebody else hasn't.
I wonder whether Disneyland is more like heaven or hell. Either way, we know that Disneyland is real, but we cannot make the same claim about God.
That's why I'm here today to tell you, if you've never felt God, well, now's the time. The Bible says that he's as close as the mention of his name, and there's literally billions of people around the world that would agree right now with me that they've experienced his love and his mercy and his grace, and maybe right now, it's your opportunity to.
The number of people who have had a particular experience which they describe as God doesn't help establish the validity of the claim. Personal experiences like that cannot be empirically verified. Keep in mind that the title of Josh's video claims that he actually has been able to prove that God exists.
So I challenge you, no matter where you're at, or maybe today, tonight, sometime in the privacy of your own home or wherever you may be, I challenge you to simply ask God to show himself to you.
Okay, fine. So how exactly do we ask? Who do we ask? Is this some kind of telepathic communication you're suggesting? I submit that talking to invisible beings is mainly in the domain of the religious. To me, I reckon I'd get a more intelligible response talking to my cat.
Maybe not an visible manifestation, but to make you feel something you've never felt before. I promise it's going to change your life the same way that it changed mine.
Wow, is that a guarantee? It just so happens that I've tried all this talking to God and praying stuff many times. More so when I was younger and more inclined towards magical thinking. But it never worked. All I got in response was a deafening silence. So, despite having claimed to prove that God exists, I submit that Josh Feuerstein has done no such thing. All he's done, as Aronra puts it, is assert his convictions.